Hi, my name's Dave McCrae, and I'd like to welcome you all to another edition of Meet the Merrimack Candidates, where every show we have either a town council candidate on or a school board candidate, and we try and get them to know them a little better personally. Today, I'm very happy to be joined by Mike Malzone, candidate for Merrimack Town Council. Mike, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to have. Thanks for asking me here tonight, Dave. And if I can give a quick little shout out to yourself. Today is the 28th, I do believe.
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday, buddy.
I was born 31 years ago today.
You're a liar.
Or something like that.
Good for you. Happy birthday, Dave.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you. I've spoken with you a few times, but I haven't personally seen you in a while, so it's good to see you.
I appreciate
Hope
it
all's
very
well.
much. Someone said, what do I want for my birthday? I said, I'd like to be 52 in a year from now.
Yeah, I know it. We're all counting our blessings every day, Dave.
For those of you that haven't had a chance to see your show yet, again, we do not ask questions about the issues or politics or political philosophy. We get to know the individuals. No.
I thought that's what I was coming here for. Okay.
No. Again, if you want to know about the candidates, there'll be other shows about it. And also you can go to merrimackvotes.org, www.merrimackvotes.org. And there, there's questionnaires filled out by most of the candidates to give you the views on the hot issues going on in town. Okay, with that being said, Mike, let's start right off with, where did you grow up?
Grew up in Stoneham, Massachusetts. Great old town of Stoneham. It's 10 minutes north of Boston.
Okay, and that's more or less where the rich people live, from what I understand. It's a rich
If you want to
suburb
call,
of Boston.
yeah, if you want to call my dad driving a truck for a living rich, so be it.
Okay, and Mike, how long did you stay there? When did you move out?
I lived in Stoneham. I grew up there my whole life. My mom, my family, everyone still lives in there. I moved out of Stoneham probably in the early 80s. Moved around, getting different apartments. Lived in, Wakefield. Lived in Woburn. Lived over in Lexington. Lived in a few different places. And I moved up here in Merrimack in, I think, 92.
Okay, I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about you growing up, as far as what you did in the summers and your free time, and what it was like growing up in Stoneham in the 70s.
Dave, awesome time, honest to God. And it's funny that you said that. Last night I was watching the Bruins game because obviously you already know how big of a sports fan I was. And in between periods, I raced to the next station, which is NBC Sports now. And they had that special on about the Canadian team playing the Russians in 1972. Dave, I remember that like crazy.
Yeah.
But it just really brought me back to the good old days. We're living on Dead End Street in Stoneham. I had one brother, two sisters. So it was four of us in the family, and we were the smallest family on the street, Dave.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The Hemingways across the street had 12. The Leahys down the street had 16. Bruno's had 12 or 13. There was a ton of kids in my neighborhood. It was awesome because every brother and sister, every family had someone that was each kid's age.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of why I live here, where I live in Merrimack. I live on a dead-end street. And I'm a kind of protectionist about that because I feel that if you live on a dead-end street, the kids should be able to play in the street because that's what we did. You know what I mean? You know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all playing street hockey.
You know,
and people give these kids a dirty look now. It's like, we all born on a dead-end street.
Yeah.
Cut the kids some slack. They're not driving around. They're not going around breaking into cars or anything else. They're trying to have a street hockey game in the middle of the street.
I know, absolutely.
Honest to God, the fathers used to get out and play goalie for a little bit. They didn't beep at you and give you a dirty look, but times have changed, Dave. I'm not really too happy about it, but I've thanked my ma and my dad, God, a lot of times, Dave, and thanked them for being what they were, raising us where we did. And in a really tight-knit community. I had a buddy of mine a year ago die from cancer down there. And just before he did, so it was 2 years ago now, it was the Indianapolis Super Bowl. And his dad was an MDC cop down there, and they had a big benefit for him because he didn't have insurance and stuff to help, regroup some of the costs. And not only was it all the people my age. He was a couple years younger than me. He went to school with my brother. But, like, everybody's parents went too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His parents owned the sports center in the center of town. And, you know, my dad had some health issues here and there. And, you know, I never forget going into a place like that to get my skate sharpened. And, you know, back then, Dave, what was it, $3 to get your skate sharpened? And he'd be like, nah, don't worry about it. You know, go on. I'm like, nah, Mr. Mueller, come on, let me pay. He's like, no, don't worry about it. You know, go have a good game for yourself. But it was a community like that, Dave. And I got to tell you, you know, 35 years goes by, and it was that same togetherness when somebody, a family in the town that was a townie that went through a tough time. And you see a lot of those traits here in Merrimack. You do.
Well, I'd like to, you mentioned your father. I'd like to touch base a little on some of the values that both your mother and father instilled in you that's helped make you the man you are today.
I'll tell you, first off, he was an Italian. Second off, he was a Marine. So it was, he was pretty strict. We went to a Catholic school as, you know, as young kids. So obviously,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we went to St. Pat's there.
So you had nuns teaching you?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that must have been very interesting.
It was, Dave. I'll tell you, I'll never forget Sister Ann Francis in first grade. As you know, I'm a talker. And, you know, I'm in first grade, and I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. Yeah. And she told me, Mr. Malzone, stop your talking. And you stop for 5 minutes. And I started again. And, Mr. Malzone, you're going to have to stop your talking. And sure enough, a little time goes by, and she came by with that ruler.
Oh, I
Dave,
love hearing those
out
ruler
of nowhere,
stories.
out of nowhere, and embarrassed the daylights out of me. And if I would probably, if that was my classroom in the year 2012, I would have been diagnosed ADD or something like that. Okay, but I'll tell you what, that woman cured me. And I only spoke when I was talking to after that. And it worked. But, you know, both sides of my grandparents were immigrants. They all got off the boat. They came here. It was instilled in us the pride of being here in America and being American. Italian wasn't allowed to be spoken outside the house. My grandfather was pretty adamant about that. Everyone, you know, you'd walk over my Auntie Annette's house over in Melrose, and you'd pull in the driveway, and you thought there was a war going on in there. You know, it was unbelievable. But that's just a bunch of Italians sitting down, you know, Sunday dinner. You know, you had the pasta, you had the roast beef, you had, you know, there was everything, and it was just, you know, everyone was barking, and it was a real lot of good times. I'll tell you, my father ruled with an iron fist, but you know, you got the message that do the right thing or don't come home at all. And it was pretty easy rule to follow. And it really helped me too, Dave, dealing with peer pressure, which I talk with my stepson about. And a lot of the kids, when I was on the town council, I got the opportunity to go over to the middle school and get to talk to some of the kids. And it was one of the toughest things that any of us had to go through was the peer pressure in life. You know, it wasn't that hard to, you know, get a job and buy a car or anything like that. I thought that was pretty easy. It was the peer pressure. And I hung around with some crazy kids. And
they say the same.
Yeah.
They say the same as they were your friends.
Man, they wanted to steal the 8-tracks up there at Woolworths. And I got no part of this, man. I got no part of this. And I got called a lot of names, and the pressure was on. And I just looked at him and says, you know what? You're not going to get in trouble. You don't have a father. You're not going to get into trouble, and your parents don't care. I says, but you all know my father. I says, I'll tell you what. I will go in and steal 8-tracks with you if you go home with me and take the wrath, the wrath if we get caught. And they all backed off, and I was like, who's the baby now? Then they all left me alone after that, and I knew it was right and wrong, and I knew that there was a price to pay after that. But I'll tell you, a lot of great times with my family. You know, we had a roof over our head. There was only one bike and one glove and one of everything, and you shared it with everyone. I didn't really think it was that bad, to be perfectly honest with you. My parents loved the death out of us, and we always had a good time.
Oh, great.
And I miss my dad. I know your mom's been gone for a little bit now too, Dave, but
Yeah,
Man,
no,
I miss
it's
them.
tough.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about school and what kind of student you were, what some of your favorite classes were, and just basically how you, what it was like going to middle school and going to Stoneham High.
Obviously, you want us to be honest here, so I'm going to lay it out in the line for you. I went to St. Pat's till 8th grade, okay? And it used to go up to 9th grade. But the year I was going into that, they stopped and they went to 8th grade. And my dad took a heart attack and got pretty sick at the time. And so that was it. I went into the public schools. I went to Stoneham High School. And I was very disappointed by what I went through up there. I wasn't challenged. And when you don't challenge a kid, it's very hard to keep their attention. Now, I left St. Pat's in 8th grade, and I went up to 9th and 10th grade at the high school. And I went home going, I was learning this stuff in 5th grade. I'm 5th and 6th grade, I'm doing this, and now I'm in 10th grade, and I'm learning this. It's very tough to keep your focus on that, and in fact, I ended up just having a good time and helping other people, to be perfectly honest with you. My favorite classes in school, I loved woodshop, and I was huge into American history. I had a super great history teacher. I was big into political cartoons and stuff like that. And Mr. Romano was his name. I'll never forget him. He was a great teacher. He really kept the interest in the kids that were in there. And it was an easy bug to catch with American history in that man's class, I have to say that. And that was one of the few that I took interest in because, Dave, it's like reading the same book. You don't really want to read it again.
Yeah.
It is. It's very tough. I don't even like really watching a movie again unless it's like a special effect or it was one of the funny ones. But
Right.
it's very tough to keep a kid's interest. And I let my parents know that. And when my little brother was getting out of St. Pat's, I told them, don't let him go to the high school. And they did what they could do, and they sent him someplace else. And I think it worked out for the best. That's really my feelings. I mean, it is what it is. And,
Yeah.
I'm just you've got to really keep the challenge on the kids. And I didn't feel challenged. I did really great in school, but I was one of those kids that I got a job at 12 years old. I always had a job. I probably worked 20 hours on the weekend. I did fine in school, but I just wouldn't do my homework. Like, Mr. Malzone, your son's not doing his homework. I'm like, Dad, look at my grades. Look at my class participation. I says, but I'm working, and I'm not going to do this because it's a waste of my time. And it wasn't a good attitude to have, and I'm not preaching any student or anything to have that type of attitude because it bit me in the butt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you've got to follow the rules, and sometimes I had a problem with that.
Yeah, you were the type of student we all figured you were. Okay. The sun's shining. Okay, so activities in high school. Were you in the band? Did you play sports?
Oh, God, no. Dave, that was hockey time back then. We were all hockey players.
So did you play in the high school hockey team?
I played up until freshman, and then I got a car, and I took on more of a work responsibility because at that time my dad wasn't really.
So you spent a lot of time working through high school.
Yeah, I did. I worked every day after school, Dave, and I worked 12 hours on Saturday and 12 hours on Sunday, and I worked for a very, very dear and close friend, Mr. Piccoli. He owned an Italian deli food place down in Stone.
Oh, so you worked in a deli place?
I worked
and
in
you worked
an
all
Italian
4
catering.
years? Or?
Yeah, and it was another somebody that I would consider, like you, Dave, a guy's guy. You know what I mean? I learned a lot about life from him too, business, how to treat people, how to converse with people. And that was one of the things that made me not be an introvert, was dealing with people. And I got a great lesson from Tony working there, and we still keep in touch today.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's a super family.
So you go to high school, you get out. Where's the next step on the Malzone roadmap to life? where do you go from there? You didn't go to college. Did you
No,
go
I
in the
had
military? Or
nope,
what'd you do?
I got my own apartment and I worked full time and I rocked and rolled. Yeah, I did. And
So you were living on your own at 18?
oh, yeah, yeah, I certainly was. 18 years old, I had my own job, had my own place, had my own health insurance, had my own vehicle. Then I was doing pretty well for myself. I moved out.
And what were you doing for work back then, Mike?
I
Were
was
you
still working there.
at the
Oh
deli?
God, yeah, yeah. I made a good place, a decent, very decent living, running that for him. Like I said, I started in the food business at 12 years old. I think it was in seventh or eighth grade when I started working there into the catering business and stuff. And I excelled at working in the food industry, and I really enjoyed it. I helped that gentleman's business grow, and I was compensated for it, and I liked it.
Did you ever think of getting into that line of work yourself,
I-
opening an old place
I
like
did,
that?
Dave. I left there in my late 80s.
Your
and-
late 80s.
I mean,
so you're
I'm
like
sorry.
Over 100
Yeah,
years.
yeah. I'm sorry. In the late 80s, and the 99 restaurants.
Yes.
The original bartender of the original 99s down on Friend Street, John Brown, me, him, and another gentleman opened up a bar in the financial district. We opened up a
In
bar.
Boston?
Yeah, right down on Broad Street. We opened up a bar restaurant down in the financial district. And-
Really?
yeah, and you want to hear the irony of this, Dave? You'll
Oh,
get a kick out
absolutely.
of
I'm
this.
interested. I didn't know you had done that.
Yeah, we opened the first non-smoking bar in Boston, and I was a smoker. Okay, and it was by choice. Okay, I'm a business person. Okay, and everything succeeds because it was the right time in the right location, in the right atmosphere. Okay, I am dead against the government who told people that they cannot allow smoking in restaurants. Okay, that's my personal opinion. You all may have something different. But that was our choice at the time. We were in the middle of the financial district, and we were going through another recession. There's one every 10 years, okay? In reality, there's another recession every 10 years. And unfortunately, this one here, I believe, was a depression, and it's lasting a lot longer than it should have. But at that time, things were getting a little tighter in the business community, and here we are in the heart of the financial district, which is the insurance, brokers, and everything else. And at that time, instead of going to the Four Seasons restaurant and spending $300 for a business lunch, we opened up this place. It was gorgeous. We imported the Byron booths from England. We had an old packet on the wall, linen tablecloths, fresh flowers. We played classical music, and we catered to a certain clientele, but we only did lunches, and we did light lunches. So instead of, and we had a liquor license too.
Yeah.
And went over like gangbusters. Unbelievable.
What was the name of it, Mike?
It was called Bakey's on Broad Street in Boston. Tremendously successful. We expanded within less than 2 years. I mean, there was a waiting line every day. And we did very, very well in there. It was a great experience. I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to leave my buddy at the Italian Deli. And when I was approached to be a partner into going into that. And I actually asked Tony, the original guy that I worked for, I got this opportunity. And I'm a little apprehensive about it. I says, but to be perfectly honest with you, Tony, I'd like to stay with you. I'd like to buy into your business. And he said, Mike, I love you like a son, but I just have to be honest with you. I couldn't do that because I have a son and a daughter and a wife. And our business isn't big enough to let somebody buy into that.
Right.
And Dave, you being a new business person yourself, can't you admire the honesty?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because at that time, I'm 26 years old. He could have strung me along
absolutely,
and said, you know
could have
what, Mike,
strung you
let's see
along.
what happens in another couple of 4 years, this and that.
Absolutely.
And that's why I have always thought the utmost of Tony. Some people don't like honesty because sometimes it hurts. I cherish it, Dave. You're not going to hurt my feelings by being honest. And I've always admired him. I says, Tony, I got an opportunity here, and I really appreciate you being honest with me, and then I'm going to give it a shot. And he said, Mike, I'll do anything for you and help you in any way you can. And if you do not succeed, you're always welcome back here. I mean, can you say anything?
No.
You know what I mean? But it worked out really, really well. And the owner of the business, who was the third partner in it, went down the wrong path, should we say.
Right.
I don't really want to get into.
No, I think anyone at home's intelligent enough to know what you're saying. And especially look at the time frame of what year it was.
Yeah, and I said to myself, you know what, this isn't good. This is not an environment that I want to be around. When you see the wall coming in front of you, jump out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I did. The bartender did that shortly after. And I went back home, took the summer off, and before that, I had been working off and on, giving my brother and his partner a hand in the tiling field.
You mean, so your brother was a tiler before you were?
Yeah, he worked for a couple of Italians, and he started before me, and I started working with him. And my brother was like, "You're out of your mind not doing this, Mike. You know, you majored in woodworking, you're into hand." I used to do hand wood carvings, very creative and stuff like that. He's like, you know, me and my partner are about getting as much in as possible, and you know, more commercial and stuff. You're out of your mind. You should be doing. We want you to start doing more intricate and fancy stuff, and you know, that took off. And next thing you know,
there you go.
Yeah, been doing that.
And that's what you do.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 20-something years now. I work real hard. I really enjoy it. I don't enjoy the days where you got to carry a ton of boxes of marble up somebody's stairs or something. But I'll tell you, when you got a blank slate and you create something unique, one of a kind, and beautiful, and you walk out of people's houses and they're like, "Oh my God, Mike, we love that." It's a good feeling. And sometimes it's a little overbearing. Like we'll be at Costco or something like that, and somebody come up to me and my wife, "Mike, do you remember me? Do you remember me? You did our bathroom, and we love it. We still love it. We still get compliments and everything else." And honestly, Dave, life isn't about money. We need money to get by, but it's about leaving a mark. I always bury my business card behind the wall in a bed of mortar, so that when some guy tears it down 100 years ago and he's going, "Oh my God, what was this guy doing?" They'll see like, "Oh, here's the crazy son of a gun that made us get a backhoe to try and tear this apart."
I know whenever me and my wife go to Valentino's, one of our favorite restaurants, I always like to admire you.
Yeah, we did a lot of nice work over there. Yeah, that was a nice job. But again, Dave, it's a big responsibility. Like I hurt my back pretty bad in the middle of that job, and you know what?
Had to keep going.
I had to keep going, dude. Yeah. You know, I put the braces on, the belt on, and everything else, and it's like, suck it up, man. You got to get it done because there's no. You got to do it.
Well, I'd like to change gears a little bit now and get into. You're one of those guys, certainly like myself and like most men out there. You married up.
Oh, huge, huge.
So, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how you met your wife. And
that's funny. You know, geez, Dave, talking about you know, destiny. Honestly, I was when I first bought my house here in Merrimack. Excuse me. I had a buddy of mine that would show up and do some backfilling for me because I had a tiny little lot of land that most of it was all a drop-off. So I chased dump trucks for a couple of 3 years to landfill it in. And a good buddy of mine that I met up here would come by once a week and backfill it in. And one of the times he was helping me out around the yard, his girlfriend came by with her friend, and they came by to bring him lunch or whatever it may have been at the time. And man, it was one of those things where it was just like right off. I'm like, oh, she had the pretty little sundress on, the nice little sun hat and everything else. Old school type girl, you know what I mean? And I was like, man, Dave, who's your girlfriend's friend? And he told me, and I was like, you know, I go, would it be okay if I called your girlfriend and asked her for her friend's number? And he's looking at me like, yeah, what are you, crazy? You can do that. But you know how we came from. There's there's rules you go by.
Protocol,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? You live by
Absolutely.
those rules and you never have any problem. You don't go out with your friends' old girlfriends. You don't go out with your buddy's sisters. And if you need to call your friend's girlfriend, you ask him first if it's okay. And then life goes on and you never have a problem. And I've lived by that rule. And he was like, yeah, sure. And man, she let me, we went out and been with her 10 years. We dated for 4 years. And before I asked her to marry me.
How'd you know she was the one?
Just, she is a realist. She's a hard worker. We never had disagreements. I mean, we could disagree on things, but we never got in a fight or anything like that. She's a girly girl, and I'm a guy. And we are very opposites. And I think it works really, really well. I'm rough around the edges, and she's smooth around the edges. And she keeps me in,
Yeah.
gives me a little whack in the back of the
Well,
head.
somebody
every once
has to. I mean, anyone that knows
Yeah.
you knows you.
Yeah.
You
I
need
mean,
someone that's gonna
No,
once in a
she's
while
a-
tell you
she's
what
a-
side's up.
I'll tell you, Dave, she lived out in Greenville, New Hampshire, which is a good ride from here. And she took her son, would not let her son go to school in Greenville because there was a lot of drug problems out there. It's a very small community. And it wasn't a good environment. And how many single parents at that time would say, you know what, I got to go to work, but I'm going to get up even 2 hours earlier so I can bring this kid to another school and then get myself to work. Don't take a break in the morning. Don't take a lunch break so she can get her son after school and get back home. There's not a lot of people out there that would do that, Dave. A lot of people would just open up the front door and go, you're going to school right here in town. And I'm one of those people that firmly believe that if you have children, your children come first. And my wife put her son first. And I admired that. I really did, because my parents did without a lot to make sure that their children were first.
All right. Well, I'd like to touch a little base with you got married, and you're kind of in the same boat as me. You married someone, and all of a sudden you're a step parent. In your case, one. I had 2 teenagers. If somebody was come up to you today and says, Mike, I'm going to marry the girl of my dreams, only never been a parent, she's got a 15 or teenage son or daughter, what advice could you give me? Could you give some advice?
It was very easy, Dave. I don't know if I really should be getting this involved, but I'm gonna anyways, because there's a lot of people that might listen to it. And I dated my wife for 4 years, and I would not stay there, okay?
Yeah.
She has a son, and I treated him as man of the house, okay? He was, 7 at the time. I treated him as the man of the house. There was a few times that I did stay there because it was like a blizzard, and I would ask him first, is it okay if I stay here? He looked at me like, yeah. I also asked my stepson, how would you feel if I asked your ma to marry her? So I asked him first. I asked Jeff first before I asked Amy. And if he said no, I would have left it be, because you can't wreck a kid's life, Dave. You can't. But he wholeheartedly agreed, because I was very good to him. I took care of him. His dad's a great guy. They never, it was one of those things. His dad was involved. I always let him know that I'm not your dad. I'm your buddy, and I'm to help you to grow up to be a man and to do the right thing and learn how to hold doors open for people and give a good handshake. And I got a great relationship with my stepson, and I love him to death.
Great.
Yeah, it is. Anyone that gets involved in that situation, the kids come first, and you gotta remember that. We're adults. We've already rocked and rolled and had the greatest.
Yeah.
I had the greatest childhood of my life. Again, Dave, we really didn't have anything. We had a roof over our head, and we had one car that Dad took to work. But you know what? Our parents loved us, and we had a great childhood. And I just really believe in don't let anything ruin a kid's childhood, because that physically gets me mad.
All right, well, I got one more question to ask before we move to the lightning round. And it says, what are your hobbies and what do you enjoy? But what I'm going to do is ask a more specific question because I know the answer I want. Is tell me a little bit about your years as a season ticket holder with the Patriots.
I I just can't. I couldn't tell you how many memories I have. Three of my other best friends that we all grew up together. We all played, Pee Wee hockey together, and we all went to the same schools together. We were seniors in high school when we started going to the Pats game in 1979. And that first year, we probably went to 5, 6 games. We're like, well, that was a great time. Let's look into season tickets. Now, you people at home are going to get a kick out of this because the first year with season tickets, Dave, cost us $60
Really?
for the year. We sat in the north end zone. We were known as the Wave Busters back then. It was $6 a ticket. There was 10 home games. $60 for a full year of going down to Foxborough. Okay, you can't even get one ticket. And it sounds crazy to say that because I know you're just having your birthday here, and you're like, we are 51. We're getting up there. But Dave, we're not 70.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to think that tickets were $60.
That's unbelievable.
There might
You
have
mean
been
for the season?
the whole season.
I know, that's unbelievable.
$6. I still get stubs. I saved them all. I still get ticket stubs at home. The people are like, come on. I'm like, oh no, that's not. I got it at an antique store. Those were mine. $6 to sit in the north end zone. We had the greatest times of our life, Dave. I go down with the two Murphys and my buddy Wallace, and we had a lot of memories down there. We started having draft day parties before the NFL ever thought of it. We'd go to, would fly across the country. We'd go to Denver for Monday Night Football. It was the good old days, Dave. We had a lot of fun. We took a lot of pride in it. My father used to look at me all the time, say, "You really going down there? What's wrong with you? They're awful." I go, "Dad, it's not necessarily. We love football. It's our football team. Win, lose, or draw, we'll go."
And don't forget, they were awful.
Oh, they were
back
awful.
then.
And Dave, let me tell you something. There wasn't even 20,000 people down there that would go to a Patriots game down in Old Foxborough. Not even 20,000.
And back then, it was like a 70,000.
It was a 62 seat place that they tore down.
62,000.
They tore down in 2000. And in fact, at halftime, they would just open up the gate. So, if anyone...
Really? Like a high school game?
Exactly like it, Dave. If you drove down there at halftime, you could just walk in and let you sit in because,
They wanted people in the seats.
Exactly. Games were never televised. You all know that because it was never
Wasn't
a sellout. And it was too bad because kudos to Billy Sullivan for keeping that football team in Foxborough. I love the man. I really do. If it wasn't for Billy Sullivan, we wouldn't have the New England Patriots today. People don't really know who he is. They all know Bob Kraft. But the fact of the matter is it was Billy Sullivan that took the old money out of his pocket to build that old stadium down there. And
Schaefer Stadium.
Dave, it was awesome. The new stadium is beautiful. It's got the bells and whistles and everything else. I don't miss it. Every time I go down there to the new stadium, I end up watching the whole game on the Diamond Vision board. Are you kidding me? I can stay home and watch it on TV. The old stadium where we sat 7 rows up in the north end zone, 7 rows up, and we had the last 4 seats. So 4 feet away was that little cement wall that they had. Then they had 1 yard, and it was the end of the end zone. So basically, you weren't even 10 feet away from us in the end zone. And I think they made some big mistakes down there building the new stadium. They put the first seats maybe 50 yards out from the sidelines, and then they put the big gladiator wall up, Dave. And I want anybody out there at home to tell me when was the last time the opposing team had to call a timeout in the new stadium because of crowd noise? Anyone guess? 0. all the noise goes right over the heads. Now, John Hanna, Hall of Fame football player, I got a shirt signed by him thanking us for busting. Dear, what do you say? Dear wave busters, thanks for busting the wave, especially when the O has the ball. Because you had some people down there that didn't even know, because the Seattle Seahawks started doing that wave.
Right.
Remember that back then? So some clowns tried starting to do it in Foxborough. Well, if you're going to do it, number one, you're supposed to do it when the defense is out there. You don't be making noise when the offense has the ball, because then your team will have to.
Right.
But, you can look at the documentary about when they closed the old Foxborough Stadium, and you'll see coaches like Don Shula, and I say that with venom, okay? You'll see coaches like him, and even Will McDonough, who was passed on, who was a writer for the Boston Globe, always had something to say about the fans in the North End Zone, because we were notorious, okay? Every week, Dave, every home game, we would pick one player, because they would be practicing, and Dave, they're right there. I mean, you say something to them, they heard you. We would pick one guy every week, Dave.
From the other team?
From the other team, and we would just say awful things to him. And 9 times out of 10, the guy would just laugh. And then there'd be that one time where you got in the guy's head, and we were like vultures up at the old dump. Honest to God, we didn't stop. And you'd see that guy coming down to running to catch a pass, and he's looking right at us to prove a point, and we're like, yeah, we're in him, you know. A really lot of good times. I was down there when we beat the Cincinnati Bengals to go to the first playoff game there in the first championship to go in '86, when we were the first ones up. Me and Merrimack were the first ones.
Was that the night that
we tore the
someone got
goalpost.
killed with the goalpost?
We tore the goalpost down, and it was just unbelievable. And once it came down, I mean, it's the first playoff game for the team.
I was at that game.
It's funny, David.
They closed off the highway. It's funny, David.
It sounds like
there's hours.
Seems like the Snow Bowl game where there was 7 million people, even though the stadium only holds 62.
I was at that game.
I'm gonna let that slide. But the North End Zone, the North End Zone was the first goalpost to come down, and I'll never forget it. I looked at Murph. I'm going, we're gonna win this game. We're gonna win this game. And we just started looking, and I loved the old stadium, Dave. I really did. We were on those aluminum seats, and we're going back like this. We got the fingers crossed, and we started going, goalpost, goalpost, goalpost. And it got louder.
My question is, were you, because I was there, were you part of there when you hit the damn wire?
Oh, God, no. Once the thing came down, we're done. We're not.
Because you guys go to the wire.
Yeah,
we didn't get out of there till midnight that night because they closed down Route 1.
Yeah, that was a bunch of after effect people that decided they wanted to take it down and march down Route 1 with it. No. We were already back, and we already had the grill going by then, Dave. But
and just for the record, I'm questioning whether you were there. You want to play that game. There's two sides to the story.
I'll bring my ticket in for the next show.
Okay.
Somebody offered to buy that from me.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, somebody wanted to buy that Cincinnati Bengals ticket from me.
Well, we're going to have to get on our bicycle because I don't think we have a lot of time left. So first, I want to close.
I haven't seen you in a long time, and it is good seeing you, Dave. It really is. God bless you, and happy birthday again.
Well, first, we're going to close this segment up by saying, how many years did you have the tickets there?
At least 20 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome, though, that last year, though, when, 9/11 had just happened, and Bob Kraft decided to build a new stadium, and we're going to football games in the old stadium and watching the new stadium be built. And it was that whole season, Dave, was magical in destiny. And, all those years we used to pray for a snow game. Every year, Dave, we'd go down there and please just give us one. Please just give us one. We never did. We never had a snow game. You'd see snow on the sidelines, but it never physically snowed during the game. That year there was the Snow Bowl game.
Yeah.
And everything. I'm getting goosebumps. That was an awesome year. Everything that happened that year, and Bob Kraft, today we are all patriots. Just everything that happened about that was magical. and we lasted 1 or 2 years in the new stadium, and things changed too much for us, Dave.
There you go.
Too much.
You are old school, baby.
Too much for us, Dave.
You're old school. Okay, well, now we got the lightning round. And this is basically, I'm going to ask short questions and looking for quick, short answers. And if we have something to touch base on, we can. But again, I don't have the clock in front of me, but I think we're running low. First car.
That I bought or that I drove?
That you bought, sir.
That I bought was a 1976 Grand Prix SJ, and it was awesome. Loved it. Remember how big those were?
Oh, absolutely. What'd you have under the hood?
400 with a 4-barrel. Those were 2 doors. You remember how long the nose
Oh,
were
absolutely.
on that? It was awesome. Loved it.
Present car.
Present car, I'm driving a 2005 Ford F-250.
Oh, it's a nice truck, but it'll never be
No,
old red.
that car. Oh, Big Red. Big Red
Red.
still running.
I know. I saw it the other day. It's
God bless him. Steve Schwab.
Still
I
has
think is how you say
the
it.
sticker on it that says "Don't steal." The government hates competition.
Yep. I got a little bit of slack for that, being a councilman, having that in the parking lot, but proof's in the pudding, baby.
Favorite TV show growing up?
Oh boy, I want to say growing up, probably $6 Million Man or Happy Days. Probably one of those.
Both good choices.
Yeah.
And favorite TV show now?
Oof, that's a tough one, Dave. Probably, I liked that Gold Rush show, and then I really don't watch that much TV.
How about NCIS? That's been a favorite.
No.
No. All right.
I like the reruns of Law and Order, though.
Oh yeah, that's
I like
good.
if I'm gonna watch anything, if it's not sports or the news, it's pretty much. I really don't have a favorite. I'm in bed. You know how that is.
Yeah. Favorite movie ever?
Oh, favorite movie ever, like in the whole history of time.
Favorite movie you ever seen, baby?
Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, good movie.
That had everyone in it. My father loved it. I loved it. That's one.
Great ending.
Right?
Oh,
Was
absolutely.
that just was a
Great. One of the best endings of all time.
Clint Eastwood was in that. Telly Savalas was
Don
in that.
Rickles.
Don Rickles was in that. Beretta was in that.
Yeah.
Sutherland was in that when he was the crazy guy with the tank. He
Yeah.
had to play the classical music. Well, he was. I love that movie.
Yeah, great movie. Last movie you saw at the theater?
I think it was called Battle for Los Angeles, and I was a little disappointed by that.
First job
First job?
at the deli?
Yeah, Anthony's, yeah.
And the current job is the name of your tile place?
Diamond Cut Tile Installations.
Favorite musical artist growing up?
Little Feet.
Who?
Little Feet. Big Little Feet fan.
Okay.
Can they hear your buzzing phone? Do I have
Oh, absolutely
microphones?
not.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Little Feet.
This
You
is-
never heard of Little Feet? Honest to God, huh?
Well, you rich people in Stoneham, you kind of had different music than us people in Lowell. So
Dude,
we'll
you guys
leave
were
it- we'll
making
leave
all
it
the
at
money
that.
selling whatever you were selling up there in Lowell. You don't want me to go there, baby, do you?
Nah,
Yeah, okay.
we'll move on. Favorite musical artist now?
Right now, I'd have to say AC/DC, even though they're an older band.
That don't surprise me.
Yeah. For
Fav-
those about to rock, baby. We salute you.
Favorite athlete growing up?
Oh, God, that's such a tough one. I'd have to flip a coin between Phil Esposito and Bobby Orr.
Well, you can't go wrong with either one.
No,
of those.
I thought Phil Esposito was and still is probably the best center iceman ever play the game. That's my opinion. Guy could put the puck in the net.
Well-
Now you bark at the Bruins now. Stay in the front of the net. Stay in
Oh,
the front of the net.
I mean, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean this as a compliment. But there's never been a better garbage collector that ever lived.
Now I take offense to that because that's your job as a center, Dave, and I take offense to calling it garbage goals when you're fighting for your space in the front. How many more goals could half these hockey teams score if their center was tough enough to stay in there?
Well, first of all, like
Garbage
I said,
goals.
No, I didn't say they were garbage goals. I
They
said garbage
used
collector.
to. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, that's all right.
Remember that one against the Russians when he caught the puck up in the air and he threw it down the ground. He missed
The
first-
bottom line is I say tomato, you say tomato. Get over it.
Okay.
It's a word.
Okay.
We
God
know
bless
what
you,
we,
Phil.
we know what I'm talking about. Didn't say he wasn't good. It just said he was a garbage collector.
Awesome.
He was a garbage collector. Collected
But it
garbage.
was either one of those, Dave. We were all hockey players back then. We all wanted to be one.
Favorite athlete now?
Right now, oof, I'd probably say Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, right. Good choice.
Yeah.
Did you see he was working at a drive-thru the other day?
Yeah. Can I have two?
Yes, you can.
Can I love Marshawn on the Bruins. I think that kid is somebody that realizes that he has to go 110% to.
Now, what old-time play does he remind you of?
Marshawn, honestly,
Yeah.
Kenny Linsman.
Yeah, Kenny the Rat Linsman.
Oh, right?
Oh, big
Seriously.
time, man.
You would be right.
Oh, big time.
This kid goes. I can't say enough about him. He is the epitome of the old-time Bruins hockey player. I have to give 110% to be successful, and he does.
Well, the bottom line is, I'm glad you didn't get mad at me for calling Kenny Linsman the Rat, because again, that was his. Nickname.
But that was because of the style that he played. That's why they called him that.
All right.
Good call on that, Dave.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? How about? I really didn't have a favorite book, to be perfectly honest with you. But the last book I read was Brothers Bulger by Howie Carr. Was the last one I read.
I read that too also.
That was a great
Yeah,
book.
that was a very good book.
I think one of the books that was right up there for me was one of the Dean Koontz books. He writes some pretty cool books.
Okay, well, we're going to be closing out here, and we've talked about the past. We've talked about the lightning round as far as some of your feelings on popular culture, and now we're going to finish with the future. And the first question is, what goals, what items on your bucket list, what do you have left to do before you leave this world?
Honestly, as far as the bucket list, I am very content in everything that I've done in my life, Dave, and there's not really anything that I haven't done that I've really wanted to do. And I can look at you honestly and say that. I didn't get married till 45, okay? I lived real good, and I did everything that I really wanted to do. Like I never really wanted to jump out of a plane or anything, so I haven't done that. And I've gone and done almost everything that I really wanted to do.
So you don't have any big goals? Traveling? Any interest in traveling?
Yeah, no. I did promise my wife, though, that at some point we will go to Italy and check out our roots out there. So that's probably one things that I could honestly say that I have on a bucket list. Okay.
Where do you hope to retire?
It'll never happen, Dave. Look at the real world. This is what's going on. I was doing pretty good, and I was, I had a game plan and stuff. But let's be honest, we see what's happening in the world and the way things are going, and I think I'm going to have to be one of those people that works to the day I die, and somebody's going to hand me a shovel and say, dig the hole yourself, pal. Okay. I hate to be Les Miserables about it, but...
Well, okay, then let's go to the final question. They've handed you the shovel. You've dug the hole. Die of a heart attack. What the heck? I'll pick something. If you might as well die of a heart attack, you shoveled the hole. So you're in there. We pile the dirt back on you, and people stand around and they talk about Mike Malzone. How would you like to be remembered?
It's not how I would like to be remembered, Dave. It's how I really feel in my heart that I will be remembered, that I was truly a good person. I always did the right thing. My father taught me never embarrass the family name, because when you embarrass the family name, not only do you embarrass yourself, you embarrass your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles. I've always tried to do the right thing. I'd like to leave my mark behind for somebody that always did the right thing and tried to make a difference. One of those people that you know me pretty well, Dave. I'll do anything for anybody, especially if they need help and they are the type of people that like to help themselves. So I think I'd be very content with that, Dave, and I'm comfortable. I'm very comfortable, and I sleep good at night.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, Mike, you're someone I've known for many years, but once again, these shows
I met you
never
through politics, and we didn't even get to talk about politics.
No, well, that'll be next year.
Yep.
Maybe next year we'll
and
do a
you
little
remember how I met you?
Yeah, Christmas Eve, you gave me a call. I was out snow blowing my driveway.
Yep. I didn't
And
know
you
you
gave
from
me
a
a
hole in the
call,
wall.
and you thanked me for my service to the town,
Yep.
and we'll leave it at that.
I
But,
watched the unfortunate beating that you were taking at the time, and I didn't think it was right, Dave. I did not think it was right. And my father always taught me, if you see something that's wrong, it's your responsibility to go fix it. And that's why I called you, buddy.
there you go.
And I'm glad that I did, because we've been friends now for a
Absolutely.
little bit. And I'm glad that you called me, because I haven't seen you for a while, so it's good.
Well, April 10th, Mike, your name will be on the ballot. You're one of 6 running for town council.
Yeah.
And I wish
Trying
you
to
luck.
make a difference, Dave. I just, I don't want to see any more people lose their houses. It's a very tough world that we're living in right now, and I didn't think it would be this crazy at our age.
Well, good luck, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
a
very,
lot.
very much.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.